here today with Gerry McGann, Technical Director at EON NRG. Gerry, thanks for your time.
Thanks, David. Great to be with you.
US focused, can you share a little bit about the production and then now your exploration assets?
Yeah, thanks, David. The company has been around for 10 years. Previously, it was called Incremental Oil and Gas, and I was the founder of that company and first MD for the first 7 odd years. We picked up assets off the bat in California. They're still chugging away and producing really nice cash flow. Our business model was always to buy producing oil fields, enhance the reserves and the recovery and the profitability. And that's been very successful. We've managed to do that extremely well. The market, however, really doesn't give a damn. And so we've come to the realization, perhaps a little bit later than we might have, that we need to change tacks a little bit, and we're now much more exploration focused, and perhaps we can talk about that in a second.
Still in the US?
Still in the US, and so with that change of focus, we've changed the name of the company, and we're now called EON NRG. It's the same board effectively, and the business model is underpinned by that production that we've established over the last 10 years. That pays the basic bills. We've been cash flow positive for all of those 10 years, which is pretty unique for a company that has a market cap now of about $4 million. Many of our peers have disappeared down the plug hole, as you well know. And here we are, we've survived this roller coaster of oil prices and everything else. So we're now surviving, we're underpinned by that production, and we're going into a different phase of exploration. We picked up a whole bunch of leases in the Powder River Basin, which is about 7 hours drive north of Denver in the Rockies, rolling pasture land, the odd buffalo and cow and all of that kind of business. And we picked this up on a government lease sale last year, really competitive, and there's a new package of leases that come on the internet every 8 minutes, and you have just the 8 minutes and the next one rolls up. We picked up 15,000 acres in a highly competitive world, and we've identified some lovely prospects in that. We'll be drilling the first one in just 4 to 6 weeks, and it's about as low a risk as you can possibly find with a really nice upside. So a really nice start of our exploration phase in EON NRG.
And infrastructure, what's the infrastructure position around that acreage?
Well, it's a great question. One of the beauties about the US is it's relatively cheap to do business because there's a lot of competition out there, there's a lot of equipment and so on, there's a lot of know-how. And the takeaway capacity in that area is quite substantial. Wyoming, where the Powder River Basin is located, has produced more oil, even though it's not in the top 10 states even in the US, than Australia has, over 4 billion barrels. So we don't think of Wyoming as an oil producer, but it certainly is. So lots of takeaway, there's refineries and services and so on. Not in the extreme that you see in Texas, but still plenty to keep us going.
And what should investors be focused on over the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, I think they've seen us as being a bit dull and a widget producer, that we weren't producing widgets, we were producing barrels of oil. But now there's that upside, there's that blue sky, and we have a number of follow-up prospects to drill. And so I think with that we can add value very quickly. So on the upside, we could double our production with this just one well, and the payout is kind of less than 12 months. So and these kinds of wells that we're drilling, this first one, the decline is extremely low, so that will go on producing. Some of the nearby wells are still producing profitably after 60 years. So these are great cash cows.
And how are you going to fund this piece of activity?
That's a great question. We have about $2.5 million in the bank and Aussie, which is enough to drill the well and more or less complete it. But we're farming it down as we speak. We've sold 15%. We'll retain the majority interest. But we know how hard it is to raise capital, and we're very judicious in the way that we spend that. So we'll bring in some partners at this late stage. With the road and the location are prepared, we've got a drill rig ready to go, and so we're just going to share that with some other folks who like low risk, high reward oil wells.
As you say, a solid team with a strong production foundation, but a blue sky cherry on the cake. Gerry, thanks for your time.
Thanks, David.